Hey guys, Wade here. Hope you all had a great weekend. It is Memorial Day, so if you are celebrating, happy holidays to you. Send me a plate via NFT. But in this video, guys, we're going to be talking about some global adoption stories. You know how we like to kick it on Monday. We start the week with a broad perspective of what's going on. And I'm going to tell you guys, we've had a lot of developments over the weekend. Okay, a lot of development. So we're going to cover all of that. We're talking Binance. We're talking and a relationship with a credit union and Hedera Hashgraph. Very interesting. Make sure you stick around for that. And we're also going to be talking some JP Morgan, and we're going to cover a definitive definition for what ISO is going to mean. Okay, we got a number of things to talk about in this episode, so let's not waste no more time. Show that like button some love, and let's jump into the Power 42 rankings and see what the markets are doing. Last week of this month going into a new month, guys. It's a very rare time on the charts right now. We have a open and a monthly close occurring at the same time, and usually when I see these guys, Bitcoin does tend to move upwards, and that's why we see, as of around 10 a.m. this morning, Bitcoin is coming in at a decent 30,333. Binance sitting at 314, and XRP still stuck in that 30-cent range, sitting at 39 cents. However, XRP, BNB, and Bitcoin are up 1%, 2%, and 3% respectively over the last 24 hours. Rounding out the top 10, we got Solana, Polkadot, Tron, Polygon, Kronos, and Stellar Lumens, followed by Algorand. Yes, Algorand has still maintained its 10th position over Flow, and VeChain, guys, is still maintaining its spot. One of the stars for our episode today, HBAR, has crept back into 13 over the weekend. It was actually passed by Decentraland and Tezos, guys. It was very interesting this weekend. Meant to do the update, that's on me, but we will be talking about Tezos and Decentraland this week because they've made some very, very big moves. It would explain Tezos' action over the weekend. Tezos is up 6% over the last 24 hours. Decentraland up 7%, and HBAR up 3.5%. So what we're seeing right now, guys, in the markets is just a lot of recovery. Now, one of you over the weekend asked about IOTA. We will be having some IOTA content. You can see here, guys, they have actually been moving up the ranks slowly, quietly. Now we are at 20 and up 4.7% over the last 24 hours. So we are just basically seeing a recovery, guys. Markets are looking good, but what we need to notice is that we're not seeing any exponential movement. Okay, so things are still quiet. Something that's not as quiet is actually Digibyte's performance, guys. We are up 8.5% over the last 24, and we're also moving up the rankings. Digibyte was at around 37, and it was right in front of Fetch AI and Energy Web's pairing, which was Digibyte was 36. Fetch AI and Energy Web were sitting at 37 and 38, but XYL has crept into that conversation along with Request Network, but both of them were being led by Digibyte, guys. So that's very interesting to see. Maybe an announcement is on the horizon. We don't know yet. But Veracity, guys, just to point this out, because they are up 12% over the last 24. They have just added a new member to their team, something else that we will be covering this week. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, guys, if you haven't already, so you don't miss out on this well-rounded crypto content. So with all that being said, let's get into our first segment of today. We're going to start with this ISO situation, guys. I put out a thread over the weekend basically explaining why ISO 20022 will have a dramatic impact on crypto. The main reason is you have to understand what these standards actually are, guys. And I spent the majority of Saturday reading a particular document, and I'll put the link to this document in the description, guys. I still got to email it to a couple people. If you want me to email it to you, of course, you know what to do. Shoot me an email, and you know I got you. But reading this document, guys, I learned what the core reason is. The main reason why ISO will have such a dramatic impact. It simply boils down to what these standards are. These are new financial standards that institutions will use to transact information from a wide variety of sources. Currently, ISO standards are already being used and have been since the early 2000s. It was actually Swift that gave us the ISO that we see today. We see that ISO has been here. We've already been using ISO, and 9 times out of 10, there are more ISO compliant cryptos in this ecosystem that we just aren't aware of. But this information is going to allow you to pinpoint each and every one, guys, because when you're dealing with ISO, every financial transaction comes with a set of codes. These codes are what allow your requests for money from your bank to be read by your bank in the same way. For example, when you request $500, they give you $500. Or when you're outside of your local area and you go to use an ATM, these are codes that communicate from that ATM back to your home bank. If everything matches up, then your funds become available. If at any point that doesn't happen, then we all get that dreadful card decline message when we go to buy something. This is what's going on behind the scenes every time a financial transaction occurs. And I mean everyone, okay? And as we go through the thread, guys, I have the link down in the episode guide, but what you'll see is that there are a number of codes, okay? And we can see here ISO 15022 was one of the first. After it says, let me see, ISO 7775, which was the original. All right, and we're talking pre-1998 here. So ISO has been around, and you'll understand that in the financial world, now that we're digitized, guys, the computer processing side, that's what makes ISO so important. And with all of these crypto companies mainly conducting their business online, Web3, right? All of these projects, if they look to do financial businesses, financial transactions, they have to be able to read these coming ISO messages. And what these messages are going to do, guys, is simply they're going to uniform the language and make it universal. So that way, all of these different codes that you see here, and you can see that there are some for settlements and trades. That's very important because the stories that we're going to cover in this video, that's why I led with this, because this is a great primer. Okay. But you'll see that in every aspect of finance, these codes are what's going on behind the scenes. And if any of these crypto companies wish to continue in the payments field, in the field of finance, cross-border payments, remittances, whatever you want to call it, CBDCs, these messages have to be compatible with their blockchain. That is what makes it so important. Okay, it's not as if ISO is some kind of cabal of elite corporations that these blockchain projects have to be a part of. And I'm glad this payments part popped up right here, guys. For example, XRP, XLM, XDC, they focus on cross-border payments, but they also offer services that are similar to FSPs or financial service providers. We're talking wallets and decentralized apps. If they look to compete in the next era, the blockchain must be able to read ISO messaging, guys. So as you can see here in the payments description, if a crypto project is doing any of these actions, customer to bank payment, bank to bank, clearing and settlement, reporting, cash management, all of these activities require ISO messaging. Again, we got situations like Stellar Lumens. News just broke this morning. They're now integrating USDC to fiat trading on the Stellar blockchain thanks to MoneyGram. How are they able to do this? Is because Stellar's blockchain can pick up on the current ISO messaging that will allow the financial institution such as Circle or your bank to communicate with each other. That's what's going to make it so massive, guys. So it's not a thing where ISO 2022 is a cabal of companies that are issuing in the fourth industrial revolution. That may be what it feels like on the surface. But once you get down into it, guys, it's just codes. We're just talking about codes here. Okay. And it's the reading of these codes, being compatible with these codes, that will allow blockchains of the future to work with these standards. Okay. And if they don't, and I make a point in this thread, a great comparison to OSHA standards, you don't see your company that you work for abiding by OSHA standards, but we've all gone through the training where they said, hey, we have to do this because it's an OSHA mandate, right? The exact same thing is what will happen when ISO goes fully online. If you go to build a new financial product or a new blockchain that's focused on payments, and your blockchain does not have the compatibility to read ISO messaging, and ISO messaging is the predominant standard when it comes to financial activity, you're not getting in there. Point blank, period. So that is why crypto will be dramatically affected from this ISO transition, guys. Wanted to get that out there. Again, links will be in the episode guide, but it's a great primer to lead us into our next segment. This takes us to JP Morgan. Over the weekend, guys, it was reported that JP Morgan is using blockchain for collateral settlement. Let's learn and earn, okay? JP Morgan Chase has developed a collateral management blockchain solution for traditional finance. Last week, it executed its first transaction by tokenizing BlackRock money market fund shares and using them as collateral. This is the latest solution from its Onyx blockchain and digital assets division. In a quote from Ben Chalice, JP Morgan's global head of trading services, he states that what we have achieved is the frictionless transfer of collateral assets on an instantaneous basis. That is the game plan, guys. That's the whole game plan, to reduce cross-border remittance payments to less than 1%. I'm going to say it until it gets reduced to the less than 1%, guys, because I want you to know what's coming. But with this, they plan to tokenize equities, fixed income, and other asset types on its enterprise blockchain network. BlackRock wasn't one of the counterparties, but was heavily involved and is interested in the technology. It also enables collateral to be managed outside of a normal trading house. So, really quick, just wanted to draw a reference right back to this ISO situation, guys. What do we see here? The FIX standard is the predominant standard of the securities front office. Millions of indications of interest, trade instructions, executions, and so on are sent each day using the FIX protocol. We also have Swift proprietary, also known as MT messages. They are the standard for messaging in correspondent banking, foreign exchange, and documentary credits. 10,000 financial institutions every day use these messages. And then we have the DTCC, Security Settlement, proprietary domestic standards. They use these standards for the 40 million messages which are exchanged with the DTCC to clear and settle U.S. domestic security trades. And what are they looking to do here, ladies and gentlemen? Collateral settlement using tokenized stocks, tokenized money market shares. They wouldn't be able to do these things if it wasn't for the code. And we already know what BlackRock is looking to do with their best friend, USDC, also known as Circle. Okay, now moving forward, as the crypto sector grows over time, there will be a growing set of financial activities that happen on a public blockchain. So we want to make sure that we are able to not only support that, but also be ready to provide related services. So JP Morgan, that's what you call your central bank, right? They will play the central bank in this role. They are fully aware of ISO coding. That is why they are developing these technologies and these blockchain technologies in compatibility with the traditional finance system. Whenever we see that, that's what that means, guys. JP Morgan's Onyx division has multiple applications in production, including JPM Coin, interbank payments, including its Partior joint venture, and repo trading. I remember that, guys, the repo markets. We covered that a little bit last year. I remember asking a few of you if you guys had any deeper knowledge on the repo market. I'm still learning about it, but it's some heavyweight moving from over there. Now, when it comes to JP Morgan's collateral experience using blockchain, guys, they've been here a while. The bank knows a fair bit about using blockchain for this collateral use case because it's involved in at least 2 other major projects. It is an investor in a major European-based collateral platform, HQLAX, alongside numerous international banks such as Goldman Sachs, Citi, BNP Paribas, BNY Mellon, ING, Commerce Bank, UBS, and Credit Suisse. The largest outside investor is the Deutsche Börse, which provides a core piece of functionality. In that case, the collateral and securities lending is used for banks to ensure that they have the right mix of liquid assets as required by Basel III banking rules. All right. Now, I know a number of you are very familiar with Basel III. I am a part of an email thread where we talk about a lot of that. But Basel III, guys, we're talking next level Bretton Woods here. This is when you see Basel III, that's code for Fourth Industrial Revolution, new payment system, quantum finance, so forth and so on, guys. But JP Morgan is also a founding participant in the startup Baton Systems collateral management platform for foreign exchange derivative transactions. Core Collateral, the startup's distributed ledger technology platform, processes several billions of dollars in transactions on a daily basis and claims to handle more than 40% of the margins globally for cleared bank derivatives. Globally, sir. But you guys get what I'm getting at here. JP Morgan, the reason why they're working so hard and making all of these enterprise blockchain solutions and relationships is because they are aware that the next stage is the ISO messaging standard. And the ISO messaging standard, and you'll also learn this too in that document that I'm going to post about ISO, interoperability is one of the crucial components to the new ISO messaging system. It's what's going to allow JP Morgan to communicate with Goldman Sachs, to communicate with your local credit union, to communicate with your MetaBank, your Chime, your Cash App, so forth and so on. It's what's going to allow all of these platforms to communicate with the same language. And what that's going to do for the payments era, guys, for the payments sector, we can't see it now. Can't see it. Unimaginable. But let's move on to the next segment, guys, and talk a little bit about Hedera Hashgraph and credit unions. Since we're on the subject of banks, credit union regulator green lights blockchain and DLT with caveats. Let's find out what those are. National Credit Union Administration published a letter to federally insured credit unions saying that it is supporter of them using blockchain technology. The distributed ledger technology should only be used for a permissionable application in compliance with applicable laws. Again, another key term there. States that credit unions are expected to conduct a thorough risk assessment of any DLT network, including for cybersecurity, compliance, reputation risk, liquidity, and third-party risk. In a letter that the NAFCU sent out in December, it basically green-lighted credit unions to engage third-party partners to enable their members to hold cryptocurrencies and digital assets. This week's letter focused on DLT without explicitly mentioning the term digital assets, leaving room for interpretation. The credit union sector has been involved with blockchain for operational purposes for several years. The term DLT was used throughout the letter and is often used to refer to private permissioned networks. In the letter's introductory paragraph, it mentioned opportunities for credit unions to increase speed of service, improve security, and expand products and services. Now, really quick, increasing speed of service. If everybody is using the same messaging format, they're speaking the same language, that's going to increase the speed of service. Improve security. Again, if everybody is using the same language, you can kind of keep things together a little bit better and expand products and services with this new universal language that will be in the background of the financial system that will allow for new products to be developed. And we are seeing a lot of them. They're called decentralized applications. Now, speed and security might imply operational applications, and expanding products could include digital assets and different types of payments. Now, a major credit union consortium has had a relationship with Hedera Hashgraph Network since 2019. Hedera's network is technically a DLT, not a blockchain. We know this. It is public, open source, and semi-permission, given the key nodes are operated by large corporations. So another reason why Hedera Hashgraph is definitely, their blockchain definitely is going to be able to read these ISO messaging. I believe there is even a proposal coming down the line in their roadmap that states that they're going to allow for the Hedera blockchain, the Hashgraph, to be more compatible with traditional financial services. It's supposed to come around the same time that the native HBAR staking is coming to the network, because what they're planning to do is allow for, you can go, let's just say hypothetically, through this relationship with the credit union, you'll be able to go to your local credit union and invest in HBAR and get interest on it. That's what we're talking about here. And the only way that that type of event could even occur is if Hedera Hashgraph was able to compute ISO messaging. That is, again, why it is so important. Now, wrapping this segment up, guys, in early 2018, CU Ledger, now called Bonify, a credit union blockchain consortium, launched its first blockchain application for customer identification. As mentioned, it established a relationship with Hedera to explore cross-border payments in 2019 and has also partnered with enterprise blockchain firm R3 for blockchain-based payments and is a member of its digital currency sandbox. So the credit unions are now coming in, and if you don't think they don't use ISO messaging, guys, yeah, gotta tell you, look at a transaction. I'm gonna tell you how you can find this. If you look at the transaction or you pull out your ATM receipt, there are a number of, there's a set of codes on there, okay, that are separate from your card details and so forth and so on, the time you went, all of that. But that's what those codes comprise of, is the time you made the transaction, the location, how much it was for, who it was sent to, so forth and so on. All of that is comprised into one code, and that is what ISO is, guys. So, man, we on fire this morning. Good Monday, good Monday. All right, I'm gonna send you guys into your Memorial Day dinner with some game, okay? Something to really tell the people. Now, our next segment, we're talking Tether is launching a new stable coin tied to the Mexican peso. Now, this one is not as deep, but the same thing still applies here. In order for them to tie their stable coin to a fiat, to something like the Mexican peso or any other fiat, it's got to be able to read that messaging, guys. It's got to be able to. Now, Tether has launched the new Mexican peso stablecoin, marking its entrance into the Latin American market, also known as LATAM. But it's going to be the MXNT and will be initially available on Ethereum, Polygon, and Tron. Now, that sentence right there was the main reason why I reported this, guys, because it's coming to Tron. Tron already has another stablecoin, and we already know Tron's relationship with Tether goes back years. I don't understand. Again, I'll say this. Every time we get a Tron development, I don't get why all the flack on Tron. Look at what they're doing. Look at what they're doing. That's all I'm going to say. But this is just a small piece to a much larger puzzle for Tether, guys. They said that the launch of this MXNT will provide a testing ground for onboarding new users into Latin America and pave the way for more fiat-pegged stablecoins in the region. So Tether is just moving on up, guys. They're making their way to the east side, if you will. That came out weird, but pretty much the same thing applies here. ISO situation, guys. If they're looking to expand, if they're looking to build global relationships, and Tether wants to, let's say, back their stablecoin or peg their stablecoin to another traditional fiat, it's gonna have to be able to read ISO messaging, and it may have to read some of the older messaging standards. Again, that's why ISO 2022 is going to bring everybody onto the same page. Basically, we're all going to be in the same book at that point, guys. Now let's get into the next segment, guys. And you know, I posted this in the community tab earlier, so you know I was excited about it. Been telling you guys for a long time now. Binance is the new Ethereum, okay? The future of finance is being built on Binance, and they have just registered as a virtual asset service provider. That is so crucial, guys. That is so crucial, especially when it comes to this ISO conversation, because when you read the documentation, when you do the research on ISO, you're going to see terms like financial service providers, digital asset service providers, and virtual asset service providers. And in that is another example of what the ISO messaging is going to change. It's going to uniform all of these definitions, because when you go to certain parts of the country, they'll call it virtual assets. In other parts certain parts of the world call it virtual assets. Other parts of the world call them digital assets. So the whole point here is to get everybody lined up. Now, Binance announced over the weekend that Binance Italy has received regulatory approval in Italy through registration as a cryptocurrency service provider with the guys, I'm not even going to try that, but as required by Italian legislation on crypto assets. The registration of Binance Italy, legal entity of the group in the country, established in recent months, allows the company to offer crypto products to its customers in Italy. And it is a concrete testimony of the importance for Binance to operate in compliance with local regulations regarding cryptocurrencies. Regulatory approval represents an important milestone in Binance's growth strategy for Italy and will allow the company to strengthen its presence in the country by opening offices and expanding the local teams. Binance is the only project out here building physical locations, guys. They're building physical banks. Okay? Trying to tell y'all, I am really trying to let you know. Nobody talks about Binance on YouTube, and I don't get it, man. But in a quote, guys, from the man himself, Shangping Zhao, Mr. CZ, he says that clear and effective regulation is essential for mainstream adoption of cryptocurrencies. We thank the Ministry of Economy and Finance and the OAM for their efforts in defining and controlling the necessary requirements to operate in Italy in full transparency. Binance has put its users first, and with actions such as the implementation of the register, they can be confident that our platform is among the safest and most trustworthy in the world. This comes after Binance was also made a digital asset service provider from the AMF in France. Also received license from Bahrain and Dubai, guys. So they're smack dab in the middle of this digital renaissance. And what Binance is getting that Ethereum isn't is regulatory approval. Okay? In the heap ton. And I remember in 2021, this is so fitting. This is so fitting. Hold on a second. I had to come back to you on this. This is so fitting because all throughout 2021, that's all Binance was getting heat for. It was getting reamed because they couldn't get regulatory approval here. They couldn't get it here. They were being stopped. Their trading was being stopped in this country, and they were being attacked by this country. We get to 2022. And everything is completely 180'd. It's the other way around. They've been getting regulatory approval after approval after approval since January, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? One of the core focus for this video was the understanding of these ISO codes, okay? In order for Binance to provide all of these financial services in all of these different nations, it has to be ISO compliant. So I just proved to you that Binance is an ISO token. You're welcome. So with all that being said, though, guys, that's all I got for this episode. If you're more interested in more info on Binance, I'm going to have that video pop up for you right here. And while you're watching that, guys, I want you to do a couple things for me. Guys, enjoy your meal, enjoy your holiday, enjoy your family. Most importantly, have a great day, have a prosperous day. And if that money is digital, so is the hustle. I'll see y'all in the next one.